Committee, the gentlewoman from Tennessee, Ms. Black, and Mr. Speaker, unanimous consent that the gentlewoman from Tennessee, Ms. Black, control the remainder of the time.
Without objection, the gentlelady from Tennessee is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to, first of all, thank my colleagues on the Ways and Means Committee for all of their help and their hard work on moving this bill forward. I would also like to thank the Chairman Camp for his leadership and for his dedication in helping American taxpayers and families, which is really what this bill is about. Coming from two hardworking parents with no more than a ninth grade education between them, and attending college was a little more than just a dream for me growing up. Yet my parents' support and some hard work, I was able to be the first of my family to attend college and go on to graduate with a degree in nursing. And this has allowed me to spend over 40 years working as a nurse in the healthcare industry. And just as this dream was for me, pursuing higher education is a dream for millions of children and their parents across this great nation. It's a well-known fact that the cost of education is climbing, and that for far too many, the ability to save and pay for college without ending up under a mountain of debt is simply out of reach. Today's broken tax code does little to ease that financial burden or to even provide a sense of security that education will be a reality in the future. And that's why, under Chairman Camp's leadership, I worked across the aisle with my colleague, Danny Davis, as the co-chair of the Ways and Means Committee on Education Tax Reform Working Group last year. And over the course of a 7-month bipartisan working group meetings, frustration with the tax code was a common theme of what we heard. For instance, there are currently 15 different tax benefits related to education. 4 of those are designed to help individuals save prior to becoming a student. 9 are available for while the student is in school, and 2 exist for when the student has completed his or her education. It was overwhelming when we had tax experts explain it. So it was not difficult to imagine how parents trying to navigate this 90 pages of IRS instructions would simply toss up their hands and say, "I give up." And that's why the work that Mr. Davis and I did during the time together on this education tax reform working group didn't end up when we delivered our report to our colleagues. Instead, our desire to provide at least some relief from that frustration led the 2 of us to work to see how we could clean up the code and help families struggling to finance education costs. That process led us to introduce H.R. 3393, the Student and Family Tax Simplification Act. Now, this legislation consolidates 4 existing education provisions: the Hope Credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the Lifetime Learning Credit, and the tuition deduction into a single, modernized, and strengthened AOTC. Streamlining the number of education provisions and retooling these that are most effective allows us to simplify the code and reduce some of the confusion that exists today. And as a result, students can spend less time figuring out how to finance the cost of education and more time developing the skills they need to succeed in our knowledge-based economy. Mr. Speaker, I think we all can agree that it ought to be easier for any family to plan, save, and invest in education. Everyone in this chamber can agree that we should do everything we can to help American children attain higher education and achieve their goals. So I'm proud that, as the chairman has already referenced, that the American Association of Community Colleges, the Association of Community College Trustees, the National Association of College Stores, and the United States Student Association have announced their support for this bill. And now I ask for my colleagues in the House to join me in supporting this common sense measure to help American students and families. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my